Well, you've heard referenced that appropriations are on track, and for the third consecutive week now, House Republicans are going to advance another set, the final set of the FY26 appropriations bills. This week, you'll see Defense, Homeland, Transportation, and Labor HHS. These bills are going to fund the Trump agenda and Republican efforts to restore peace through strength, to defend our borders, and to deport criminal illegal aliens, to rebuild America's infrastructure, and to make America healthy again. All laudable goals and things that we promised and things we're delivering on. Now, this is our final batch of appropriations bills for the fiscal year. There were a lot of people, and I think many in this room, that argued that this could not be done, that a regular appropriations process is a thing of the past, and it's been a couple decades since this has happened. Critics said our margins were too slim to bring it back, to rebuild that muscle memory that I committed to when I became Speaker, and they said we had too many bills left to pass and too many disagreements left to reconcile. But I'm happy to report that all of those prognostications were flat wrong, and we've gotten it done. And the most significant sign of progress in these halls in years, House Republicans are restoring regular order. And it's important to the people that we represent, because this is the only way to have good fiscal sanity and responsibility and stewardship over taxpayer dollars, is to return to regular order. We're returning the appropriations process to a committee-led, member-driven approach, as it should be. We should not have the four corners, the top four leaders in the House and Senate in a back room making pages and pages of decisions for the country. That's not the way it was supposed to work. And I've been doggedly determined to make sure that didn't happen, and this time it did not. Together, all 12 individual appropriations bills will provide full-year government funding without unrelated policy provisions. They will spend less than another continuing resolution, and it will continue to advance our America First agenda. Once we pass the final batch this week, Republicans will have finally replaced the last of any Biden-era spending levels with Trump-era spending levels. No more Biden and Pelosi negotiated budgets. We've turned that page, and we are not turning back. Now, let's talk about the other big thing that will be happening, and it's on the minds of everyone in the next week or so, as tax season begins. Will Rogers, the famous actor and writer from Oklahoma, whose statue stands outside the House chamber where we all meet to do our interviews with you, he once observed this. He said, quote, "The only difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't get any worse every time Congress meets," okay? For most of our history, his observation held true, which is why everybody kind of laughs at that, but it's not true anymore. Republicans have simplified the tax code. We have reduced the tax burden on families. We've advanced a policy agenda that puts working families first, and the proof is in the pudding, as we say. Next Monday, January 26th, tax season officially begins in America. And for many people, it's a dreaded time. It's a moment that they don't celebrate. But this year, there's going to be lots of happy surprises. Thanks to our Working Families Tax Cut, tens of millions of American families are going to see bigger paychecks. They're going to see bigger tax refunds. And let me give you a couple of numbers real quick. $4,000. That's the value of the average tax refund for Americans this year. $100 billion. That's the estimated total of 2025 tax refunds for families. $10,000, the average increase in annual take-home pay for working families. Think of it, $10,000 is the average across the country. 15%, the average tax cut for families earning between $15,000 and $80,000 annually. How did we do that? We reduced federal taxes. We made permanent the doubled standard deduction. We instituted a $6,000 deduction for seniors, which will affect more than 50 million of them. We included no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. We boosted the child tax credit. We made permanent the paid leave tax credit. We expanded FSAs. We increased the adoption tax credit, and those just provisions for families. For business and industry, the tax season will be a boost to their bottom lines and their ability to grow and add more jobs and expand facilities, et cetera. Our agenda supports Main Street over Wall Street, and we did that by making a 20% small business deduction permanent, doubling small business expensing to $2.5 million, providing child care tax credits to businesses, reducing paperwork burdens by increasing the 1099 reporting threshold, expanded opportunity zones with more than $100 billion in new investments in rural distressed areas, and we raised the death tax exemption for family farms. That's a lot of great policy, pro-growth policy, that the American people are going to see the great benefit of. We also included full expensing for new factories and domestic manufacturing improvements, full expensing for domestic research and development, 100% expensing for new capital investments in the U.S., no taxes on car loan interest for U.S. assembled vehicles, and the elimination of the de minimis exception for low-value commercial imports. Great policies, some things that we had been needing to do for a long time. And we got all that in the one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Code. We wrote that legislation for small business owners, the job creators in this country, and we wrote it and geared it for lower and middle class families. You know how the Democrats always say, oh, the Republicans only favor the billionaires. It's a joke. Go look at the facts. And everybody's going to see that. This was written for lower and middle class hardworking families in America. And they're going to benefit from that. And they're going to know who did it. As our chair reminded you about 5 times this morning, the Democrats voted against every bit of this. They voted to raise taxes, and they voted against all this great policy. The very people who suffered the most during the Biden years were lower and middle class families, and we are going to correct that. And all boats are going to rise, and that's why we're so excited about the year ahead, not just because of the celebration of, you know, the 2.5 century mark for the country, and not just because we have a fateful election season, what we are very bullish about because of the record we're going to run on, but because everybody is going to be feeling the positive effects of that. And man, do the American people need it. I've just scratched the surface here on what our working families tax cuts will achieve. So over the weeks and months ahead, House Republicans will continue to promote the transformational opportunities and conservative victories that this legislation delivers for everybody. And we're really excited about that. With that, I'll take a few questions. Go ahead.
Because you just returned from Europe, the president has threatened tariffs on European allies who are opposing his plans in Denmark and Greenland. Do you think that's a fair strategy, and when does Congress have to get involved?
Let's talk about Greenland. I know the president, I think he may still be speaking there. I didn't see any of that because we were in Republican conference meeting during the timing of his speech. It was bad timing on my part. So I look forward to seeing it. My staff was handing me little notes about some of the things he was saying. I know that he has said that we will not have troops involved in Greenland, and as I had been saying for days, no one ever anticipated or expected that would be necessary. The president and I talked multiple times over the weekend. I know right where his head is on this, and I'm glad he's articulating that for all of our friends over there at Davos. It's clear he's focused on the strategic importance of Greenland, and no one can dispute that. And it's not as though he made this up. As we've noted, presidents have been talking about this for more than 100 years. The importance, the strategic placement of Greenland, just for geography, where it is. And if you look at the top